Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر The prayer. This is what they taught of prayer. You pray in your distress and in your need, that you might pray also in the fullness of your joy and in the days of abundance. For what is prayer but the expansion of yourself into the living ether? And if it is for your comfort to pour your darkness unto space, it is also for your delight to pour forth the dawning of your heart. And if you cannot but weep when your soul summons you unto prayer, she shall spur you again and again through weeping until you shall come laughing. When you pray, you rise to meet in the air those who are praying at that very hour, and whom save in prayer you may not meet. Therefore let your visit to the masjid be invisible, for naught but ecstasy and sweet communion. For if you should enter the masjid for no other purpose than asking, you shall not receive. And if you shall enter into it to humble yourself, you shall not be lifted. Or even if you should enter into it to beg for the good of others, you should not be heard. It is enough that you enter the temple invisible. I cannot teach you how to pray in words. Listen to the messages of Anu from the Elohim to your words save when he himself utters them through your lips. And I cannot teach you the prayer of Yam, meaning the seas and the forests and mountains. But you who are born of the mountains and the forest and the Yam can find their prayer in which are thine into days, which are thine also, which cannot ask. We cannot ask you for aught, for thou knowest our needs before they are born in us. You are our need, and in giving us more of thyself, thou givest us all. But those who know, pray this prayer. Our Heavenly Father, for you are of the all, and the all, and you are in the all, and all is in you. You're head of the 300 Ijiji of those Anunnakis who are still in the skies. O most holy, your name is found amongst the holy ones, the Anunnaki of the heavens. For you were to name all the things that were brought into existence. Blessed is your name. O most holy, your name is found amongst the holy ones, the Anunnaki of the heavens. For you were to name all the things that were brought into existence. Blessed is your name. Nothing and no one can give you a name, for your name is of the all. You have been appointed Anu. O Anu, your kingdom will come, and what you will and ask of us will be done on earth. Tiamat, just as things are done in the heavenly skies amongst the Anunnaki. We ask you to please give us the breath of life each day where we rise, and we will procreate as you wish. And forgive us if we disagree as we forgive those who disagree with us. and protect us from the evil ones and their temptations. For you are the ruler of all kingdoms, and all power is yours, and the glory forever and ever. And we know you have appointed one of the Yahwehians, your own grandson, Adonai, Tammuz, as our shepherd, and we have all that we need. And you and the Anunnaki declares, verily we have given you all the abundance. So pray unto your sustainer and offer. Verily your enemy shall be the one cut off. His seed will be cut off after 6,000 years from the most holy day. He let us rest in the outer fields of green grass and leads us to the quiet pools of fresh water. He gives us new strength. He guides us in the right path as he has promised. Even if we go through the deepest fears of death, we will not be afraid because we know that you are with us. Your flails, rod, and your wasp protect us from disagreeableness. You prepare a table for us where all our enemies can see you welcome us as an honored guest upon your ship and fulfill our cups to the brim. We know that your goodness and love shall be with us all of our lives, and your house will be our house as long as we exist. Page 594, Tablet 10, The Mortals. 19 times 10 equals 190. 1 plus 9 equals 10. 1 plus 0 equals 1. The Magician. Lo, if I cry one real tear, do you think that they will hear? Remembering my trials in this holy tablets and being sent to human beings, one must be prepared for their nature. An initiation is like birth, and the key to overstanding it is to overstand. that each that is born of someone who themselves are born of someone. All of the pure ones have a link. It is a link much like the etheric cord that stretches forth from soul to soul and which keeps the channels from the higher realms, the etheric state, into the earth plane opened. When a mother and father have a child, that child is brought forth unto them in a bodily form. That same child, however, has a spirit that extended back 76 trillion years. For this reason, every mystic order has spiritual masters or beings from higher planes. Whose responsibility is it to keep you, that child, in tune with the original spark since the beginning of creation? Then on one still shadow time, as I was walking alone, I perceived the presence of a superior being with me. I turned around and I saw no one, but I began to fear inside. Then suddenly from me and through me at the same time they sounded my name, saying, Yah one, fear not, for you shall be the bearer of the torch of light in the west, and shall save many souls. You are yet a baby, but you shall mature into a man more rapidly than you can ever imagine. Do not be afraid, for I am about to manifest. Startled and overwhelmed, frightened and bewildered, I could not have faith that this was happening. Suddenly, I felt a warm sensation 2 inches above my navel. A feeling shot upward towards the center of my chest from my solar plexus, and then a tingling feeling centered between my eyes. Immediately, a crystal green and white rays of light slowly appearing, and there he stood magnificently. How can I make you feel when what I felt? How can I make you see what I saw? He was strong, he was powerful, he was grown, in what seemed like a whitish gown and what seemed like a whitish green flowing robe. And there was a globe about him I had never seen in any other person, a sparkle bright as the stars. I looked into his eyes and I saw I was no Page 595. I was no longer afraid, for his eyes I saw depths, I saw warmth, I saw compassion, tenderness, understanding, and kindness. I knew I was safe in his presence. He made me feel comfortable and secure. He spoke, and his voice was as the voice of the angelic beings. He said, "Your soul lived over 76 trillion years. You have witnessed many cycles, and now you have begun to grow. You are of the ancient ones. You are an Illa Mutajisid, an avatar. You may not at this time understand what this means, but as time passes and you begin to grow from your inner self outward, you will begin to perceive and understand these things. The spirit of your father has awaited its rebirth into this earth plane, and now it is your calling." I was speechless. I tried to stare into him in order to decipher who, what, and from where he came, for I did not want to boldly ask him. As if he knew what I was thinking and feeling, without a second thought, he said that he belonged to the ancient ones who had descended upon the planet during the time of Master Utnapishtim, son of Lamech, and Kamila, and even before millions of years prior to the birth of your Kadmon. It was called Project Blue Rock, infested by the Ashtar Command, the intergalactic legion of this side sector, the replacement, 7 from End Circle. I bear you on eagle's wings, and I brought you unto myself. This being was highly involved in the upper worlds. He said many had come here to earth and planted seeds in the earth. Their children this very day are called star people, and some of them are called the Watchers or Elohim on their own planets. Some of them are highly reputable in their own galaxies and dimensions. He and those with him are as real as you are in the alliance of the Space Confederation.
Relax. Let go, let go, let go. Let your mind sail to a place that you don't know. Relax. With the idiot. You must realize that all of your lives you spend in stress, and you must come to control the flow of blood throughout your soul.
There is one by the name of Ashtara. He is a commander in the highest in this atmosphere. He is also the commander of his mother plane, or starship, a crystal ship coming for their own. The Anunnaki elders are approaching a time of crisis, so 35 million strong will assist you. They will lift up and reserve you and they will hold you in safety for up to 1,000 years. If needed, you will see the magnetized solar flares now present around the sun in its position in conjunction with the planetary alignment that is presently coming into its final position. In the lunar legend, the 5th point of May in the year 2000 of the Gregorian calendar, it was combined it combines to create a strong tendency to pull the planet Earth in toward motion. The polar shift 23 degrees of its true existence has been greatly lessened by the actions of our scientific helper from the mother plane of this planet called Terra. Then he told me that the era had come. I did not know what he was referring to, and so he began to explain that 93 million of miles away from planet Earth is the sun, that great star that shapes the lives of those on Earth. It takes the Earth 1 year to revolve around the sun, and that 1 year is divided into 12 months. The sun and the other planets that make up your universe orbit around a galactic center called a central vortex. And just as the 1 year that the Earth takes to revolve around the sun is divided into 12 months, so is the time that it takes the universe to orbit around that galactic center divided into 12 periods. Each period consists of 2,075 years, totaling approximately 25,000 years, which is the time that it takes the universe to make one complete rotation around the galaxy. Each period or era has a name according to the monthly signs and in reverse order. For example, the universe is now passing out of the era of water, the era governed by all that is physical, known to many as the Piscean era, and it is now entering into the era of air, ether, mind, and power, known to many as the Aquarian age. This new age is a spiritual era that the world is now ready to accept, and you have been chosen to teach the light of the ancient and mystic order of Melchizedek to the new souls who are waiting to receive it. Those new souls who realize that there is more to human beings than what he thinks to be his 5 physical senses. Those souls who realize that there are extra senses, that there is an astral body, an aura, and that communications can be made with beings outside of this planet. The 12 eras from the Piscean era, moving counterclockwise like 8 doors that open up. When the 6th door opened in the lunar logging of the year of 1966 of the Gregorian calendar, disagreeable beings descended down into the earth in many forms, including the human beings from the Ashtar command, the ancestors of the disagreeable Halabines, Flug Gelrads, or Helub, who now seek to control the planet under the name Children of the Light, simply the Illuminati. Then the seventh door opened in 1970 AD, and agreeable beings, the Anunnaki from Nibiru, descended upon the land in order to help you. This was my year. 30 years from the 2000 AD, which is the year 6000, you have 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in an hour. 6, 6, 6. Sensing that I was afraid for fear that I would not be able to retain all that he taught me, he said, "Try not to retain all that I have taught you, but rather relax, and it will settle itself in your subconscious mind. Once it's in there, when you need it, it will burst forth like the sun in the daylight hours. If you have faith without a doubt and put your trust in Anu, you will find that we, the Illum, will open you up, and all the answers to the universe will reside in your chest." Let the children sing. Having said this, he was gone from sight. I stood there frozen. Where did he go, I thought, and why didn't he tell me his name? I waited for hoping that something would happen, and a lady passing by said, "Are you all right, mister? You look ill." I spoke back saying, "I am fine, thank you," and then I proceeded to walk away. Suddenly, while walking, fear overtook me. But why was I afraid? Immediately, I realized that it was because he was withdrawing me from me. And 7 minutes later, I heard a voice from a distance saying, Seek me, and you shall find me. Ask for me, and I will be there. Knock, and I will always open this side of the world to you. And then the voice faded away. I called. I looked around. I was gone. I cried all the way home. 7 months passed before I heard from him again. Then one day, while meditating and in a state of profound tranquility, when my mind and soul were in communion with the cosmos, I began to feel his presence. I was sure that he would manifest, but he did not. Instead, a name appeared. My room was dimly lit by candles of the Sabbath, but there, just above my head, in a cloudy yet visible form, was the name of El-Qadar, which in Ashuric Arabic merely meant green. I started at the name. I stared at the name for what seemed as eternity, and slowly thereafter it disappeared. I sat there in the stillness of the room, contemplating my thoughts. Who was El-Qadar? If El-Qadar was the name of a person, who was that person, and what important role would he play in my life? Was El-Qadar the name of he who made his presence known to me? I knew I had to find the answers to my questions. So I went to the library in search of books, which gave me some enlightenment. Later, I questioned various Sudanese Arabs that I had been acquainted with in my quest. I learned that there was indeed a supreme being who was called by the Muslims who knew Nabi Y Qadar, and the green one, my spiritual father. He was referred to as the green one, for he possessed the green light, a force that he directed which could sustain every physical form and heal every disease known to humankind. Suddenly, the pieces of the puzzle started to fall into place. For you see, I knew that I had been endowed with a green light which made it possible for me to heal the sick. For many times, people would come to me ill, and I would make them whole again. But it was not until then that I had inherited that ability. It was a gift from Anu by way of El-Qadar, the green one. I could not wait for my visitor to return. I wanted to tell him all that I had learned, and so anxiously every shadow time I looked for him. Then one shadow time, while alone in my room, I felt him staring down at me. A pair, I thought to myself. I wanted to see you. Suddenly, without warning, he manifested. He said, I am here. And my eyes gazed upon him. I felt a surge of energy run through my body. My stomach quivered with excitement. and a chill went up my spine. He looked at me and proceeded to tell me that he was indeed El Kadar, and that he was known by many other names, the Ancient of Days, Nabi Kadar, Father Time, Sheikh Kadar, Melchizedek, Melki Sadiq, Murdoch, and Michael.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. لما أنا كنت في سودان، أنا سألت أمي عن أبي، وهي قالت: يا ولدي، يا ولدي عيسى حبيبي.
Yes, he was Michael, son of Enki and Damkina, the head of the Anunnaki who waged war against the bad Anunnaki, Azael, later called Hayel, Jan, Shaitan, devil. Those who were created of 180 degrees of evil fire, who rebelled when the foundation of the world was being established. He said that he was also the head of the material order of the Anunnaki, to which the Essenes belonged. The Essenes, he said, were a group of people who lived around the Jordan area, all around Jerusalem, and they were taught the lesser mysteries as opposed to the greater mysteries. He also spoke of Master Yahshua, for like me, he was an Ilallah, Master Jasad, avatar, who caught between two worlds, who was caught between two worlds. He said Master Yahshua belonged to the ancient and mystic order of Melchizedek. In the last days, he said, I, El Kadar, will intervene for the special people, Nuwabians. When evil religions come to triumph, I will use you as my vessel to communicate my message of green light, right knowledge, right wisdom, and right overstanding, Nuwabu. Fascinated by these words that caressed my overjoyed soul, I knew I had formed a friend, someone I could depend on. He remained silent for a moment, as if deep contemplation, and then he told me that I would be given an initiation which would prepare me for all that I would encounter as the spiritual guide of human beings. He told me that I would be summoned when it was time, and I would then have to journey to Sudan and seek him at the junction of the two Nile, Tuti. Therefore, he referred me to the section of the Quran which speaks about his meeting with the Elohim Moses in the 69th degree, which was changed in the 18th degree, verses 60 through 62, and his meeting with Master Abraham in the book of Genesis, chapter 14, verse 18, or as you say, the Euphrates River. He then explained the meaning of the sacred water, the fire, and the sacrifice. As he departed, he told me that he would not see me for a while, but that when I needed him, he would be there, and he was gone. Months passed before I heard from him again, and during that time, my life took a drastic change. It was as if I were a huge magnet drawing all kinds of people towards me. Answers to questions I never thought I could answer started pouring forth out of my mouth. My earth family was amazed. It was obvious at those moments that someone of great wisdom had inhibited my body and that through me he was speaking. There were times when I would sit in my room and cry because I felt I was being asked to do something I did not understand. I felt at times as if I had no control over my actions, my thoughts, and wondered if I could indeed give insight to those who appeared blind, give hope to those who appeared helpless, bring faith to those who appeared faithless, and most of all, teach them to walk in love, not hate or fear. Teach them to walk right and not disagreeableness. Could I remove the veil from there before their eyes so that they once were back into the Elohim? I asked myself so many questions. I began to think I was going crazy. Sheikh Kadar had not made his presence known to me in so long that I began to wonder whether I had imagined everything that had happened. Did I indeed see this majestic being? Was he real, or was he a real figment of my imagination? But he was real, all right. For whenever that strong sense of insecurity would overshadow me, I would feel Al Qadar's presence and he would comfort me. Finally, in the lunar logging of the year 1973 of the Gregorian calendar, I was summoned to take my journey. I was told to go to Sudan. Wait, did it? And that once there, I was to go to the Grand Temple in Khartoum and seek a human being by the name of Mahmoud. I was told that his name would be Mahmud, for he belonged to the final part of the three-letter Maims of the name Muhammad. Ahmad, before the Prophet, actually came Muhammad, son of Alat and Amina, who when he was here, was Muhammad in birth and Muad in the end. I then knew I was not always to be a Muslim, but it was 1 degree in my studies. As I prepared for my journey, I was very excited, for I realized that this journey would mark a change in me, and that would affect not only my life, but the lives of all the people I touched. I knew that the journey would be a long and tiresome one, but I faced everything that was to come with great anticipation. When I arrived in Sudan, I felt as if I had returned to my home, my land, the land of the ancient Egyptians where there is pyramids. The month of June in Sudan marks the end of a hot summer month and the beginning of the rainy season. Therefore, the weather was not as hot as I expected it to be, but rather comfortable. In fact, the early hours of the daylight are rather cool, and during the afternoon, the sky is very clear and the sun is very bright. It is then that the great sun reached its peak in the dusk period, and just after the sun appeared to set, one is overwhelmed by the sight of the sky, as it looks as though it has been stroked by an artist's brush. Its colors is vivid red with shades of orange and yellow. There are no high buildings to hide the wonder of Anu. Therefore, you can watch the sun and the beauty that surround it until it disappears completely. It is a beautiful sight to behold. There are not many street lights in Sudan, so when the stars come, they are very bright against the blackness of the shadow time. The people in Sudan would prefer to use lights only after it gets very dark, so that they can enjoy the beauty that Mother Nature bestows upon us so generously. Having settled down and relaxed for a few hours, I then went to the Grand Temple in Khartoum, or the Grand Lodge in Egypt, and sought out the Grand Master Maud, the most worshipful one, as I was instructed to. "You at the juncture of the two Niles," he replied. "You are at the junction of the two Nile." I don't remember how I got there. Muad and I spoke a while, and then suddenly I felt a sensation rising inside me. He said, "Step." I took one step. Immediately I was transformed from that state. Before a tremendously beautiful temple. The temple had a long hallway of doors. Its floor was of marble. He said, "Follow me," and I did. As he took me down from majestic corridor, we approached a door. He opened the door, and there before me was a huge room. The walls of the room were white, and they appeared to emit a soft flowing light. The room was bare, except for 12 rugs, which were arranged in such a manner that they formed a large circle. In the center of the circle were 3 rugs. I was told to sit in the center of the circle on the middle rug. I took my place, and the Al-Qadar manifested and sat, faced to me, facing me. He did not speak to, we did not speak to each other, but I cannot tell you how happy I was to see him. Suddenly, other men began to manifest, men I had never seen. As they appeared, each one would say his name, Alum Kanok Zadok, Alahum Aliyah, 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 Yadok, Alahum, Yeshua, Zadok, and this went on until each of the 12 mystics had said their names. There were still 2 rugs left on either side of me. The Alahum al-Mahdi Zadok appeared to my left, and Alahum Muhammad Zadok appeared to my right. They greeted me, and I smelled the scent of rose from Alahum Muhammad Zadok, and the scent of musk of Alahum al-Mahdi Zadok. And the Alahum said, "The initiation will begin." Suddenly I felt as if I was tumbling backwards, but actually I and everyone else in the room was levitating. I couldn't believe my eyes. Then, to my surprise, out of the center of their foreheads, straight to the center of my heart, different colored beams of light came from each one of them. All around my body, I could feel this energy surging through my being. I could not find the words to describe how I felt, and neither can I go into further details about my experience during this initiation, for I cannot betray the secrets I swore to maintain. After the initiation, as we were preparing to leave the temple, Ma Muad signaled to the sky. I looked up, and there in great splendor I saw a lotus. In the center of the lotus was a 7-pointed star resting in a crescent. Within the 7-pointed star was an inverted heart, and the word Hawa inscribed in the middle. All around the symbol there was a green light, wavering brighter and brighter against the dark violet hue of the sky. I was elated. Malwa then proceeded to explain the meaning of the symbol and told me that it would be the seal of the universal order of love, the Sufi order of the sons of the green light. first step to 3 steps. He said that this order would come. Fourth, during a time of great turmoil, to restore hope in the hearts of human beings, thereby teaching him the essence of his true nature. As the sun is the axis of this solar system, he said, and all the planets revolve around it, so will you be the axis of the planet Earth, and all the people will revolve around you. You will be their spiritual guide, and you will nourish them with love and wisdom. Hence, your name will be El Kubat, El Kub, the axis, the spiritual guide. Then I was given the sign of the cosmos, which followed my initiation. I returned to my dwelling. As I was preparing to return to New Babylon, America, I was told to go to Egypt for another initiation. When I arrived in Egypt, I was told to go to a great pyramid in Gaza, where I would have to pass the test of the humans. We arrived at a pyramid where none of us knew our guide. He was the wisest of the wise, standing at the threshold of the entrance. The Elohim, with a comforting voice, reminded us of the test before us. He said, trust in Anu. In everything, have patience. Though you don't see a thing, it does not mean metamorphosis. It is not destined to manifest. Ever so eager to enter the pyramid and pass the test, we barely listened. He said, anything that you wish or feel you would need, merely think this thing, and it will be manifested before you. So being one of the 24, reflected back on earthly needs. Quill manifest before my eyes, and heavier garments, they too manifested. We need wicker stones, thinking that we had passed because we didn't ask for candles. We will need dry foods, again feeling agreeable within ourselves, for not asking for fruits and vegetables and quails. Oh, water. We'll need plenty of water. We'll need papyrus to write down what we seen. We'll need quills to write with, and of course ink. By this time, we were all well weighed down by our needs. The guide, with a slight smile, said, you are about to enter into the doorway of your first test. The door raised from the bottom upwards, and all we saw was darkness. Stepping through first, the Elohim assured us that it was safe. I rushed forth second, only to find this first step was a long slope that was hastened and speed by the pull of gravity. And that has been GMF 12 equals D over 12. Okay, which equals 16 feet per second square. As a result of having such a heavy load, when I arrived at the bottom, I saw there was already light. Nor was it cold, nor was I dehydrated, nor was I in need of food. I heard a voice say, "You now have failed the first test." Spinning to the Elohim to ask, "What do we do now?" After I shed myself of all the unneeded weight, he smiled and repeated, "What do we do now? You have now failed the second test." I know I'm asleep. I can feel from my head to my feet. Please, Mr. Sandman, I know if anyone could, you would understand. I just can't wait. No, not yet. I know it's a dream, but it's more so real. And don't let go. Just hold on. Keep it nice and slow. On and on. 'Cause I know how good it feels. And I still think it's sweet. But and when we stop, hold back the clock. As long as I'm asleep, love is mine again. Don't you let it go. If you do, I Immediately a great wall appeared right before my eyes, and I had heard a voice from the other side, and I remembered that it was the Elohim's voice. It called and said, "All that you seek to know and will ever need to know about the humans is on the other side of this wall." Immediately my eyes scaled from corner to corner, center, top to bottom. It was a huge onyx like wall that appeared to have no entrance. I asked, "How shall I get to the other side?" This voice from the other side answered, "You have failed the third test." Immediately in rage, I thrust myself out of anger with myself at the wall, only to find myself at the other side in triple darkness. For as my pupils dilated, I saw nothing. This was the first stage of darkness. I blinked and opened my eyes slowly to look at my immediate environment. Still, I saw nothing. This was the second degree of darkness. My eyes turning them to reflect back in the optic nerve, then to my own heart. Third degree of darkness, but I saw a long forgotten friend, fear. He called out to me. I yelled, but there was no answer. A voice inside said, "You failed the fourth test." I began to run forward. He called to me. This could be a cliff. I stopped, and a voice inside said, "You have failed the fifth test." I began to step sideways and feel the called out, and I began to step sideways and feel. He called out to me. This could be the edge. I found myself caressing him in fright. A voice inside said, "You have failed the sixth test." At this point, I thought of the one helper, and I yelled out, "Oh, Anu, help me." Up ahead, the size of the great teacher's ring, I saw a speck of light. The joy I ran towards it. As I approached the light, its size increased, and I thrust myself head on into it. I found myself back outside at the threshold of the pyramid. The Elohim said, "You failed the seventh test." With the same smile on his face, he said, "In failing the seventh test, you have passed the first test. For now you know what it feels like to be a human. We are about to enter into your first test. Anything that you feel that you need or will need for your test, merely think it, and it will manifest." Turning to the Elohim with his smile on my face, I said, "I already have Anu. I need nothing. I passed the test." And that has been the reading of tonight's word with the L's Holy Tablets. It's too late for you to go home. Look outside, it already snows. Stay, what will people say? Your car is stuck in the snow, you really trying to go home. No, 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 no. I've got to go home.
I really must insist. Baby, give me another kiss. Do you have the time for just one more glass of wine? A simple man. I want to, but I must go. So please move away from the door. It's gonna be so cold. Oh, let's go. I'm thinking that's your body's so warm. Look out at the stars. You're gonna. I think I wanna stay. Stay, stay, stay. Please stay. I have another sip of wine. Please take my hand. Put your trusting mind. We had time. Oh, stop watching it cry. Really not too I think I'm gonna stay. It's too late. It's a lovely night. I have another sip of wine. Hold me tight. Just right. I really ought to go.